Now that we know what types of functions have an inverse function and how to confirm that two functions are inverses of one another, we will go through and find the inverse of a function. Note that if xy is a point on a function f, then yx is a point on the graph of its inverse function. Specific example, in like a previous problem I just looked at, if 1, 5 was on the function f, then we saw that when we input 5 into the function g, which was its inverse function, we got back to the value 1. So the x and y values are interchanged between a function and its inverse. That is, the roles of x and y are interchanged. So to find a function's inverse, we will apply these steps. We first want to replace f of x with y. Then we are going to interchange the variables x and y and solve the resulting equation for y. And this will then give us the inverse function. So we will replace y with f inverse of x. So in this example, we want to find the equation of the inverse of each function. I have the function f of x equals 4x plus 12. To find its inverse, I'm going to replace f of x with y equals 4x plus 12. Then I need to interchange the x and the y. I'm going to write this as x equals 4y plus 12. Now I will solve this resulting equation for y. And to do that, I need to subtract 12 from each side to get x minus 12 equals 4y. To solve for y, I have to divide each side by 4. So I get x minus 12 divided by 4 equals y. Now I want to point out something. I did this earlier in another video, thinking about the operations of the function. So like, for instance, this function f takes an input value, it multiplies it by 4, and then adds 12. To reverse those steps, we have to subtract 12 and then divide by 4, and that's exactly what this function x minus 12 all divided by 4 represents. Now if we wanted to rewrite it in terms of a linear function, we could say then that f inverse of x is equal to, well, x divided by 4 is 1/4 x, minus 12 divided by 4 would be 3. Now, if I wanted to confirm that those are inverses of one another, I can perform the composition. Plug this inverse function into f in place of x, see that it simplifies to be x, and then vice versa. Part B is f of x equals the expression x plus 4 cubed plus 5. So we will replace f of x with y and write this as x plus 4 cubed plus 5. And then we have to interchange the x and the y. So we will get that x is equal to the quantity y plus 4 cubed plus 5. Now we need to solve this equation for y. The first thing we do is subtract 5 from each side to get x minus 5 equals y plus 4 cubed. To get the y plus 4 out of this cube, I need to take the cube root of each side. So this will give me the cube root of x minus 5 is equal to just y plus 4. And now to solve for y, I can subtract 4. This gives me the cube root of the expression x minus 5. Then outside of that, I have minus 4 equals y. And again, let's just check to make sure this makes sense to us. In the original function, we started with an input value. We added 4 to it. So we had to add 4, then we had to cube it, and then we added 5. So the inverse function should reverse those operations and the order in which they were performed. So notice that this inverse operation says that we take a number, x, we subtract 5, then we take the cube root, and then we subtract 4. And that is exactly the reverse of what the original function did to an input value. So f inverse of x is equal to the cube root of x minus 5 minus 4. Example C. F of x is equal to the quantity x plus 4 divided by the quantity x minus 7. We will first write this as y equals x plus 4 all over x minus 7. Then the rule is that we have to interchange the x and the y. This means we will get x is equal to y plus 4 over y minus 7. And now we need to solve this equation for y. We first need to get rid of the fraction, so we can multiply each side by the y minus 7. And therefore we get xy minus 7x when we distribute on the left is equal to y plus 4. Now think about what we're trying to solve for. We need to solve for y, which means we need to get all the terms with y on a side by itself. Therefore, I need to subtract the y to move it to the left side, but then I also need to add 7x. So we're going to do those two steps in one. I have to subtract y from each side, but I also need to add 7x. So this gives us xy minus y is equal to 7x plus 4. To get the y by itself, I need to factor the y out on the left. This gives me y times the expression x minus 1 equals 7x plus 4. So to solve for y, I'm going to divide each side by the x minus 1. Therefore, y is equal to 7x plus 4, all divided by x minus 1. So our inverse function is f inverse of x is equal to 7x plus 4, all divided by x minus 1.